Do you find it hard to draw boundaries because you put everyone else's needs and feelings before your own? Or maybe because you don't know yourself as well as you wish that you did? Or that you're not sure that you have the actual right to draw that boundary? Or you're afraid if you draw a boundary or say no, that it might jeopardize that relationship? Or simply because you never learned how to effectively draw boundaries? My name is Terri Cole. I am a licensed psychotherapist, a relationship expert, and the founder of the Real Love Revolution. Welcome to this week's Real Love Revolution video, where I'm going to be talking to all of you highly sensitive folks, the empaths and the codependents, about drawing effective boundaries. And I want you to understand why it is hard for you to do so. And all of those questions that I started this video with are exactly why. And that last one, that maybe just nobody taught you how to do it, is a really valid one. That's a really valid experience. So I wanted to talk about this because I had done a couple of videos back about 2 months ago around empaths and highly sensitive people, and got a massive response from people that they wanted more and they needed more information and they needed more help. So here I am wanting to help you guys. The first thing that you have to understand is that being a highly sensitive person or a codependent, because being an empath and being a codependent much of the time goes hand in hand, because you are really sensitive to other people and other people's feelings, desires, and wants, and that puts you in that place of having it be more difficult to say no or to draw a boundary than it may be for other people. So let's get clear for you about what kinds of boundaries there are. Like, what types of boundaries are they? We obviously have material boundaries, which are easy to distinguish because it's like, a fence around your house. If somebody borrows your car, your boundary is that they're going to give it back to you, right? We have a boundary, an unexpressed boundary around our toothbrushes, right? We expect that no one else is going to use our toothbrush unless it's a mistake. So those are sort of material boundaries. The physical boundary, actually, I started out with, is about the fence around the house. And it can be personal space, physical boundaries, privacy, right? And your body. Your body actually is a place that has boundaries around it. Some people don't like to hug. That's a boundary. I'm kind of a hugger myself. And maybe I'm stepping over other people's boundaries. If I meet someone who's a close friend of my husband's, I'll just hug them. Who knows? Maybe they're like, please stop it. I do not know. Mental boundaries, right? Your thoughts, your values, your opinions. And why I'm talking about this is because you have a right to have boundaries around all of these things. And I feel like this is little known information. People come to me, clients or the groups that I'm running, and they're completely confused about what their right is around certain things. Are they being selfish? Which is so interesting because it's almost always the people who are not selfish who are worried about being selfish. And the people who are pretty selfish, pretty much not too concerned about that. That's not happening most of the time. Boundaries, meaning, can you respect other people's boundaries too? So with mental boundaries, can you listen with an open mind to someone else's opinion, right? Without becoming rigid yourself. If you become highly emotional and argumentative or defensive, then you may have weak mental boundaries, right? It's not just your own. It's not being able to respect someone else's as well. Emotional boundaries, right? We distinguish this between the mental and emotional because those are two different parts of your life. And this is about feeling guilty and not feeling guilty, right? If you're allowed to have emotional boundaries, meaning that you know that someone else's problem or a choice that they made is not your responsibility. Although so much of the time it may feel like it is, especially when you have poor boundaries, especially when you're a codependent or an empath. And sexual boundaries, right? You have a right to your level of whatever your comfort level is around touch and sexual activity, right? You decide what, where, when, and with whom. But I feel like a lot of women especially do not feel like they have a right to this. If someone takes them on a date, someone with a poor sexual boundary, I've had clients say to me, well, he paid for dinner, and so I didn't have sex with him, but we fooled around. I felt like, I gave him oral sex. I'm like, you gave him oral sex for dinner? No. Why? You don't owe someone your sexuality at all. But again, that's just an example of a poor boundary around sex. And then spiritual boundary, right? This relates to your beliefs and your experiences in connection with a higher power, the universe, God, whatever it is that you believe. And when you think about why it's difficult, we'll go back for you. And really, this video is for you. If you are doing those things that I said in the beginning, which is putting other people's feelings and needs first, right, above your own, really feeling like you may not fully know yourself as a human, because when you're codependent, we spend so much time really intimately knowing other people because we're always trying to please them and help them and be a part of the solution for others, that it doesn't leave a lot of time to know ourselves. Right? And the biggest part of having poor boundaries, if you are a codependent or an empath, is that you don't believe that you have the right. You are really unaware that you have a right to all of the boundaries that I've just been talking about. And the last thing really is that you've never learned. There's the fear element that I spoke of before, but also never learning how to actually do it. And the truth is, it's not as hard as it may seem. Right? It may seem impossible to you at this moment in time. So now that you've established this, that you are someone who has difficulty with this, and now that you know that you have the right, let's move into how can you draw some boundaries in these areas, sort of with ease and grace. The first order of business in setting effective boundaries when you're sensitive or you're codependent is just immediately stopping the auto yes. I find with my clients that this might be the most helpful thing that I can teach them. Because if you can at least stop saying yes automatically to things that you really don't want to do, now we've sort of stopped the process. There's a moment to breathe. So some easy ways and easy language, and don't worry, there'll be a little boundary cheat sheet that you'll be able to download at the bottom of this, at the end of this, so you don't have to write it now. But the way to stop the auto yes is, thank you for asking, I'll need to check my calendar and circle back, right? That's one super easy way of stopping the auto yes. I'll need to sleep on that is another one. I've now instated a 24-hour rule, meaning I won't be making any snap decisions for any reason. You can also say, I need to check with my husband, my sister, my best friend, whomever it is that you might have plans with on that day. And you can also say, I'll need to get back to you on that, but thank you for thinking of me. But just planting it in your mind that you don't owe anyone an auto yes. And the more things you do that you don't feel like doing, the more resentful you become. And a lot of times we won't keep our word anyway. A lot of times we'll say yes because we don't know how to say no, but then you don't end up doing that thing, and that creates resentment too. And then if you have then to move it to the actually saying no, you can move into, I'll have to decline your offer right now in order to honor my family's needs, right? That may be the reason that you're doing it. I checked with Vic. If it were me, I would be saying I checked with Vic, and we are already committed on that date, but thank you so much for thinking of us, but we can't make it. I've decided to keep my Sundays open for family and volunteer time because that's what's important to me. I hope you guys have a great time. Like, there's a zillion ways for you to say no. And I'm just giving you, in this little cheat sheet that you'll be able to have, I'm just giving you some examples of ones that I know are not harsh, that are a little softer. Because here's the thing with boundaries. Understanding the first thing, which I was saying in the front of this video, is that you understanding that you have a right to them. And what is the point in boundaries? Why do you want to have them? Because boundaries are not to punish other people, right? Boundaries are to protect your energy, your health, right? Your emotional safety. But it's also protects your relationships. Because when you don't protect it, when you don't tell the truth about how you feel, what ends up happening is that you end up really resentful, and people don't know why. You can be in a relationship with someone and they really have no clue as to why you're so pissed. And so this directly saying no and drawing a boundary, it's not only protecting you, but it's allowing people to know you. The more honest you are about what you like and don't like and what you'd prefer, the less you do a bunch of crap that you don't want to do, the better your relationships will be, and also the better your self-esteem is. So if we go back to what are boundaries? What are good boundaries? Good boundaries, in a really easy nutshell, are not taking responsibility for things that are not yours, feelings, emotions, situations, and taking responsibility for things, situations, emotions that are yours. So doing a lot of blaming of other people, being so angry, I can't believe they had the nerve to ask me that. That's poor boundaries on your part. Because instead of being pissed that they had the nerve to ask you, calmly and in a neutral tone, draw your boundary. Say no. I can't do that. I'm not interested in doing that. No, thank you. Again, like this language that I'm sharing with you, and there'll be more in the cheat sheet. But I want you to understand the value, especially being having codependent tendencies, or being a highly sensitive person or an empath. You having good boundaries will up-level every single solitary relationship in your life. It is not you being mean, bitchy, or being selfish. It's truly an act of love. So I hope that you learned something and enjoyed this video. If you like it, please share it on social media. Please do. And ladies, most of you guys are ladies, maybe some aren't, but ladies, if you haven't joined my free tribe, please do go to terricole.com/RLR for Real Love Revolution. I do monthly live streams and give you guys a whole bunch of free gifts. We're talking about codependency and boundaries all the time, because that's what we talk about in there, and lots of other things. I really, really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. I hope you have an amazing week, drawing boundaries with ease and grace. And as always, take care of you.